The Riesz you see here is actually a combination of two lower rarity units that have been withheld in the past. This is kinda nice. I wouldn't mind seeing older Final Fantasy units like this. Or the other two characters from Trials of Mana, if anyone even knows them. Riesz's Trustmaster reward is a two-handed spear with high attack and magic. Not only that, but it also comes with a double human killer buff, a limit burst regen, and boosts jump damage by 100%. It's really an incredible Trustmaster reward, jam-packed with numerous effects, but it can also be only held by Riesz, so there's not too much further application. Her Super Trustmaster reward is a materia that boosts attack and magic by 80%, and defense and spear by 20%, though your unit has to be holding a spear. It also boosts wind and dark resistance by 40%. The elemental resistance is high enough that it might be crucial in certain fights, and the high stat buffs certainly make this materia more appealing. Still, it's not quite at the universal level of Ninja Master Hawkeye's Super Trustmaster reward, but it's still very strong. Onto her active abilities. Aerial Lance is a jump. Protection boosts your team's defense by 250% and gives them a 50% physical mitigation buff. Strengthen boosts your team's attack and magic by 280%, their limit burst damage by 100%, and their limit burst gauge fill rate by 100%. Mental boost boosts your team's spirit by 250% and gives them a 50% magical mitigation buff. Meteor Thrust deals weak light damage that chains up a triple absolute mirror of equity before she takes to disguise, and then on the next turn you get to land with a powerful light attack. Raging Fury deals damage that chains up Oreo Ray. Evening Star's protection grants your teams an HP barrier, boosts their stats by 300%, grants them a 50% general damage mitigation buff, and boosts Riesz's light damage by 50%. Fenrir's Calamity inflicts a 25% spear imperil onto your enemies, and decreases their light and dark resistance by 130%. Passives. But for Trustmaster reward or Super Trustmaster reward equip, she gets a 30% boost to all her stats, but that's peanuts compared to the incredible boost to equipment attack when carrying a single weapon, and a tremendous boost to jump damage. She deals increased damage to beasts and humans, and has a starting boost to jump damage that will really appreciate further strengthening. She meets half the limit for the chain damage cap, and for whatever reason, has a decreased chance to get hit by some attacks. At EX plus 2 she gets an instant limit burst, and at EX plus 3 she gets 500 attack. Onto her limit burst. It deals non-elemental damage and lowers the enemy's elemental resistance by 120%. Time to change forms. Riesz has a true Brave Shift, which has no limitations whatsoever. Onto her active abilities. In this form, Riesz has several magic attacks that deal physical damage. Still, all her abilities chain with absolute mirror of equity. Weaken Plus inflicts an 85% attack break, and fills your team's limit burst gauges by a small amount. Defenseless Plus is the same thing but defense, Wither Plus lowers magic, and Enfeeble Plus lowers spirit. Gust Thrust deals wind damage, imbues wind onto Riesz, and fills the evocation gauge by 3. Gloom Thrust is the same but dark. Summoned Hexus requires 2 evocation orbs to deal dark evoke damage and lowers the enemy's wind and dark resistance by 120%. Unparalleled Sharpshooter deals non-elemental damage. Debilitate All inflicts an 87% full break and fills half the evocation gauge. Awakened Hexus uses 3 evocation orbs to deal dark evoke damage and lowers the enemy's wind and dark resistance by 130%. Passives. But for Trustmaster reward or Super Trustmaster reward equip, Riesz gains magic, a double strong human killer, a booster limit burst regen, and a booster evocation damage. She has less killers in this form, perhaps due to the increased focus on evoke damage, though she's gained some limit burst damage as well. She meets half the cap to the chain limit boost, and her normal attack has been changed to deal evoke damage with a 70% full break. She does have an innate boost to evoke damage here, though she'll really need additional equipment. At EX plus 3 her attack boost has been changed to magic. Onto her limit burst. It's a magic attack that deals physical damage, and lowers the enemy's wind and dark resistance by 135%. Let's rank Brave abilities. Meteor Thrust is stronger than Aerial Lance, though it is locked to light, which can either be good or bad, depending on the fight. Aerial Lance is far simpler, giving you another option to work with as well. Awakened Hexus deals dark evoke damage, though strengthening it only raises its damage, not its effects, so do so if you plan to use her as such. Now, time to make a damage rotation. I'll start with a rotation for jump damage. On turn 1, cast Evening Star's Protection, Fenrir's Calamity, and whatever else you'd like. I'll go with Raging Fury, though you can also use any other support ability here, as the third ability isn't too important to the damage rotation. On turn 2, cast Meteor Thrust. On turn 3, make sure to cap a chain as she lands. On turn 4, jump again. On turn 5, land again. then repeat the rotation from here. Alright, now let's make a damage rotation for her Brave Shift. This time I'll be using her as a evoke damage dealer. Given the reliance on evocation orbs, I'll just go ahead and assume that you don't have someone to insta-fill at each turn. On turn 1, cast Evening Star's Protection, Venorous Calamity, and Strengthen. On turn 2, activate her Brave Shift. Cast Debilitate Awe and double cast Gloom Thrust. On turn 3, double cast Summon Hexes and top it off with Awakened Hexes. On turn 4, double cast Gloom Thrust and cast Summon Hexes. On turn 5, triple cast Summon Hexes. If at any moment here her Limit Burst is ready, go ahead and prioritize that if you've got some Limit Burst damage support. Her Limit Burst cost is surprisingly low, so it shouldn't be too difficult to fill with some support. Regardless, on turn 6, switch back and start the rotation again. Woo, one more damage rotation, let's cover her magic damage. This one is much simpler in comparison. Start off turn 1 the same way. Activate her Brave Shift on turn 2. Use Gloom Thrust and double cast Unparalleled Sharpshooter. And then just keep doing that until turn 6, where you switch back and start the rotation again. Of course, if her Limit Burst is ever ready throughout this rotation, go ahead and prioritize that. So, EX2. At EX plus 2, Riesz gets an instant Limit Burst. Riesz's Limit Burst is a strong tool, but not essential, and given its low cost, it shouldn't be too hard to fill it anyways. Overall, her EX plus 3 is much better, as the flat stats are far more beneficial to her damage output. Still, it's EX plus 3, which is a realm above my free-to-play mind, so I can't really comprehend having the Lapis to cover that. Regardless, how good is Riesz? She has a variety of rogues, fit for several battles and well-suited to different fights. As a jumper, her damage is much better than Duran's, but doesn't quite reach the same level as the 2 limited units that he struggled to keep up with. As a magic damage dealer, she has less potential than Angela, though she's still a strong contender in that field. Her Dark Evoke damage is certainly strong, and remains another good option, though strength will fluctuate with available evocation orbs, so it really depends on her team. Even so, her magic damage lacks elemental amplification buffs, which would really have pushed her further. Her support is surprisingly solid, strong stat buffs and high levels of mitigation, and her Brave Shift gives her access to strong breaks as well. Of course, the fact that the standard abilities are all separate is rather irksome, but she does have a full break on the cooldown anyways. Overall, with the wide amount of effects and abilities, Riesz is a jack of all trades that can cover a variety of roles, especially thanks to her true Brave Shift. One notable feature I haven't mentioned comes from her equipment. If you participate in the limited time event and get the materials to craft the Lupine Guard, giving it to Riesz lets her activate a field effect that boosts physical dark damage by 25%, so long as she evokes Fenrir. Of course, this is just another facet that gives her even more support, and given the number of strong dark physical damage dealers, it's likely an ability you'd rather not miss. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, then leave a like and subscribe. Comment below if you plan to get Riesz. Beginners would definitely benefit thanks to the number of rows she covers, though they'll find it tough to equip her to her full potential. On another note, she seems to be missing Fairy Walnut, which is accessible through every other Trials of Mana unit. It's not super important, but it's odd that she's the only one who's missing it, so I can only assume the developers forgot to give it to her.